in here. I'll ramble for a few minutes during this intro just to, I guess, go over a few things and wait for maybe somebody to get the notice. I had to change the link. It didn't seem to remember it was going to be a screen share, so I had to go back in and remake one. Not a big problem for me, but it'll make less people probably aware of it now. But that's alright, I don't mind. You'll see it eventually. Go away. So some of you might be wondering, first of all, where this topic came from and how I related them together and what it has to do with the cover photo. Okay, so in a nutshell, as simply as I can put it at this point, I believe that the alien invasion is being attempted, not the invasion itself. You hear me now? Because this gets deep. This gets like very, again, wispy with all the different threads that go all over the place and how things are connected. I believe that the alien abductions, we'll just say that, are a story being told by those who work for the other team, or at least the other team in my case, the side of darkness. Now, I understand how they see things. I know they think that they are helping bring in the second coming of Christ, but they're still of darkness, and they will still be a part of that losing team in the end, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to get redeemed because of it. They will still go to the same place. However, I hope that God saves everybody that is savable, every human being, every souled being that is meant to be here. Anyways, I believe that the alien abduction story is told by Satanists originally who knew exactly what they were signing up for and what they were doing. I also believe that there's one of these people, at least one, in every household, every nuclear family. Now, back in the day, if you read the Bible, if you read other texts, it's very clear that men and women were segregated, which, honestly, in my opinion, I'm starting to think was for the best. In a lot of cases, your female bonds with other women would be stronger. You would have more support helping you take care of the family and the house, and you doing the same for them. And so there would be that sister bond created. The men were segregated throughout the day doing their jobs, their work. I'm not saying that today with computers and technology that there aren't jobs that women can do. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that they were segregated for the purpose of propriety and modesty. If men and women aren't mixing together throughout the day with other people of the other gender who are of the other sex, who are married, also, or not married, maybe younger, you're going to have less temptation to stray, to commit adultery. And when you covet something of your neighbor's, whether it be his car or his wife, although his wife obviously should be more important than his car, or say, I don't know, a lost lighter, maybe. The well-being of your spouse should come first. But when you covet what is someone else's, it leads to more crime. It leads, and we could say that sinful behavior or transgressive behavior that goes against natural law, that goes against the nature of the way things are set up to be and meant to be, because they operate properly that way. You would never ask the engine in your car to be responsible for the same function as your tire. They're two completely different things. The tires aren't even of that type of mechanical nature. They just propel. They're just, there to help along and move along, not to keep running. Do you hear what I'm saying? So men and women were segregated for this purpose. Crime is lower when there is less adultery and there is less coveting of your neighbor's things, possessions, wives, children, whatever that, jobs, whatever that may be, titles, lands. So if you're segregated a bit and the men go off with the men and the women stay with the women, certain things are less inclined to occur. What does that have to do with this? I'm just saying it used to be that way, that they were separated, and now you have all this intermingling where certain things are easy to transpire in the nuclear family household. So this alien abduction story is being told to cover up for SRA, satanic ritual abuse. People think it's not happening. They dumb it down and play it down, and they misdirect by calling it satanic panic, by saying there's nothing to worry about, that it's just hysterical Christians, hysterical women, hysterical mothers. But it's never the truth, right? There's not people that actually do that, are there? I think there are, and I think they use the alien story to cover up their own identities and their own abominations in the minds of the peoples being abducted, of the victims. And yes, they are victims. The only reason that has turned into a negative word or connotation, and again, you don't have to agree with me, but let's discuss it. You don't have to turn the video off, because I think this is going to be a good one. Again, it's revealing, and when you reveal or expose darkness, you change the wheels on my car. They're not strong enough. Much love, sister. Hey, guys. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Love women who are women's. They're not strong enough. No, that was an analogy. I think there's some things lost in translation there. No, trust me. There are jobs that men do that I don't want to do, and I don't think that we should be expected to do them. To be blunt, I'm not a feminist in any way, shape, or form. I might come off that way sometimes just because my dad raised me to be strong and to be assertive and to stand for what is right and honorable in life. He was a chess player. He taught me how to play chess. He taught me how to fish. And he taught me how to praise God out in nature. And that was his church. My grandma took me to Catholic church. I now do both to honor them both. Don't worry, sister. No worries. I just, I like to... Sometimes I get away with myself, and maybe I can come off a little too aggressive, so I apologize anyways. So I think this story is being put out by satanic ritual abusers. And how do I know this? I know this because it started happening to me. Problem is whatever they're using on me, or whatever their injectable is, really, it's not operating properly on me. And I think that makes people around me very, very angry. I guess it used to work, but it doesn't any longer. I no longer really drink alcohol. There's nothing they could really cover it up with and say, oh, well, it was this you drank, or that, or the other. Their weapons will not prosper. No, they won't prosper. And this is me doing my part of exposing that to the darkness to the light, so that perhaps in this exposure, they run from exposure. They despise being exposed. It's what they hate the most. I would wake up with bruises on me, and I would remember certain parts of this quote-unquote dream or experience, and I would look down at my hand, and I would see little pinpricks where I was injected with something. On my neck, I get these things that are like bites all the time, always the same general place. What thing bites you twice in a row, always at the base of nape of your neck on your hairline? That's not normal, right? Like, that doesn't, I don't care how much bugs like me, or mosquitoes or spiders, are attracted to the taste of me. That's not normal. These things don't normally occur. Something happened. I don't recall any of this earlier in my, well, not as often anyways. Once I was home more, and now I'm on the system. But I paid into that system. I paid into insurance. I paid into disability and all that. So weird. I've gotten suspicious bites there too. Yeah, they're not bites. I thought they were at first, when it first happened years ago, but it happened at my mother's. For whatever reason, she locked me up in the house when I was staying there with her at one point with no phone. She took the mouse to the keyboard. Like, it was very strange. And I was paying to live there. I had left the father of my children at that time. And that's the reason I went back, is because she acted crazy. But that's another story for another time. But that's where I got the first bite, was at that time. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I didn't know why it was there. It would not go away easily. But then I started remembering things that happened around the same times. And I started to remember that these quote unquote dreams I had were more like experiences where I was having these things were happening, but I was not lucid. I was not, conscious. And I've always been like that. Even half asleep, I always like have one ear open and I can hear things that are going on around me. Don't know why. It's just how I've always been. And now I've been working on my lucid dreaming more intentionally. And I have certain things that I do. I can't give them away. I can't say how I do them or anything like that. But there are certain things I do now in my dreams, because that seems to be the only place that these things can get to me, is when I'm unconscious. Anything, any being that comes to you when you are unconscious and you cannot sign off on it, you cannot willfully engage or interact or participate, anything that goes against your consent like that. And that's what the funny thing is, these beings and these people say that they respect your free will, but they don't. And this is why I don't believe in clones, and this is why I think they have to use regular people with a soul. Because people can go against God's laws, right? We can break God's laws all day long. I'm not telling you to, but we can. We have that ability. Demons don't have that same luxury. Demons they have to stay on track, right? Think of a train and all the different train tracks. Each train has to stay on its track. It has no choice. It has to go where it is intended to go. Otherwise, bad things happen. Demons are the same. They cannot enter your house or your person without permission and without you being a willing participant. They get people to operate for them, because people can break these rules. People can go against the consent of one another. This is how also I determine when I'm speaking to someone if they are demonically oppressed, possessed, or if it's a real human soul that I'm interacting with, because these beings don't have free will. And that's how I know that these beings have pretty much taken over everyone around me, because they don't seem to have any free will. If they need invited into your house and they are family or friends, and suddenly they have to be asked over, or they have to be told to come in, when before, CV started, you would have never had to have done this. Those people have a demon. And that's what the abduction thing is. It is to bring forth more of these beings. Every event has a purpose, right? So let's say that you quote unquote wake up with the experience where you've been abducted by these aliens and you've been probed. What exactly do you think that is if they are violating your body? That is what they tell you afterwards to hide what they're doing. It is sex magic. It is used to bring forth more wickedness, more demonic beings. And there are so many people participating in these acts at this point in time that many have altogether lost their free will. For some reason, some of us it does not affect, or at least anymore. This is how I know Christ is the way, is because he has saved me from these bad experiences when I sleep and when I rest, right? I used to think I had to stay up all night just to watch everything. And it's not that I'm not vigilant now. It's just that I know God and Mary also speak to me in my dreams. So I look forward to them now. It's not an oppressive issue for me any longer. Why am I telling you all this? Well, again, I was leading into something, so let's get to the main point here. How did I put vinegar? It says nobody's here. Sorry if you left, guys. I like to give a few minutes for folks to show up. This is a book. If you watch the other channel, you'll remember that when I ordered this series of books, I was told that they could not... Hello, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you so much. When I tried to order these books originally off of Amazon, I was told that they could not be delivered to me for some reason. And this Fibonacci keeps coming up in my circle. Again, these people, they tell you what they're doing, either in shapes, numbers, words around you. They will tell you, and they tell on themselves. And I don't know if the human beings know that the demonic, like they have to do this or whatever. But for whatever reason, I've always been good at Pictionary and Scrabble, chess, not so, I mean, I'm not bad at it. It just honestly, halfway through, it kind of bores me because you have to go this way or you have to go that way and you can't, nothing is ever new. I just like it because it's predictable. People are predictable. People have patterns, but we can break them and we can break God's laws. The demonic cannot break God's laws. So where's all this leading? Well, number one, here's a question that these people, these Satanists, have always asked me. The same questions. And honestly, again, this is boring and predictable because one loved one asked me this years ago. And then my son asked me a couple years ago. And then I see a video about it a couple months ago. And it's just, they're all the same. Everyone that follows darkness, everyone that follows Lucifer, and now maybe they're unwilling now that they know it's him, but they probably think that they have no other choice. Let me tell you, you do have a choice, but it's very hard for them to get their free will back and to assert it and to attain it. I'm strong. I'm a strong-willed person. I've always been that way. And the moment I called God back into my life, it pushed back these things, or I would be dead a lot of times over already because I live with these people that are taken over by this stuff. I still love the person very much, but I don't love these things. Of course I don't. They're ruining these people and their souls, and it's more than unfortunate. It's a tragedy. But I know that they are using, okay, so I'm going to give you another branch here before I get into this book. This is all leading to vinegar and milk. And I know that sounds so weird. They're probably like, what the heck do those two things have in common anyway? Okay, so ask yourself now, like on the History Channel, on Gaia, on all these big YouTube channels, on all these quote-unquote alien UFO stories now, ask yourself why it's always from the military. Why is it always coming from cops, EMTs, and Navy, Air Force? It's always from people of the system. They're the ones seeing these things. They're the ones reporting them. And then they're the ones investigating them. Don't you think that's kind of weird? Isn't that a conflict of interest? If someone in the Air Force, for example, sees an unidentified flying object, don't you need someone more objective besides the military itself to investigate one of their own, and vice versa? It doesn't make sense because it's not logical and honestly, it's not lawful either. There's a total conflict of interest there. But ask yourself why all this is coming from the police, from the firemen, ask yourself that. And I have a theory about fires too, and it matches up with the missing 411 if you saw that one, about search parties not actually searching for the people to find them and help them, but basically hunting them because somebody in their family, because they were considered a deplorable, because they're on disability, they're on SSI, they're on these things that I was put on. See, once they're done using you, they try to get rid of you. Once you start recognizing what is happening to you and you start talking about it, they try to get rid of you, just like they did Max Spiers. And you're going to say, oh, well, he's just a conspiracy theorist. He's a nobody. He's a living human being. He's somebody's son. He's somebody's lover. He's somebody's brother. He's somebody's father. He has 2 children. But they always leak out the truth. And again, I don't know if this is done by our helpers, the quote-unquote angels, or the quote-unquote demons. I honestly don't know. But I recognize images and symbols and words as to where our friend Dion there, he's good with the numbers aspect. So I go to people like him to translate, if you will, or interpret the numbers that are coming through the algorithm at us every day. So thank you for that as well. So these people, like I said, years ago, a loved one asked me, do you know why we drink milk? Do you know that we are the only mammals that drink milk of another animal? And I had never thought about it. that that's true, but I like milk. I hear it's good for you and it doesn't kill the animal, right? It's something that the animal gives and it doesn't, if done right, it does not harm the animal. Made it, but I'm here late. Bad connection today. I'm sorry about that. So yeah. The connection here should be good. I always pray over my devices. I always ask for that angelic assistance. And Mother Mary has been really good to me lately, but I'll get to that in a bit. So let's break that down. Why is milk a thing for these beings? Why do they dislike milk so much? Who is Max Spiers? LOL. Okay, so Max Spiers. Hold up. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So these Satanists, they always ask me about the milk, okay? No problem, Dion. Do you know why we drink milk? Blah, blah, blah. Like, they don't want you to drink milk. They want you to stop doing that. My dad was big on milk. He wanted me to make sure I always had a glass of milk every morning or orange juice. And orange juice could also be called a type of vinegar. Why is that important? Did you know that to take the Nazarene vow, you have to swear off any type of pickled beverage? Some milk is bad, organic milk is better. That's not what I'm getting. This is a spiritual thing. Okay, because for some reason, the people who are operating for the other team, they don't want you having it in your system. They don't want you, what's the word I'm looking for? They don't want you consuming it. They don't want it to be in your system. And I'm trying to figure out why right now. Like, you guys are going to research with me real quick. For some reason, these people always ask that same question. They want you to stop drinking milk. And they also strongly dislike vinegar. How do I know this? Well, my husband's quote-unquote best friend, one of the people who I guess you would say was involved in my satanic abuse at different points. He also gave things away. He told me in a year, you and I are going to be enemies. And I'm like, you're sitting here teaching me about art theory and stuff. Why would we be enemies? Well, that's when he's sober. When he's not sober, he's a totally different being. And that's how these beings get in as well. He said, in a year, you're going to be my enemy. And I was like, okay. And I just stuffed that away for later. I didn't do anything with it. And he told me a lot of little truths like that. And he liked to clean with vinegar. And I'm like, what do you use that for? Because my dad used to put it on his French fries too. And so did my spouse. Originally, he used to put it on his fries. Now he despises vinegar. He doesn't even abide the smell of it in the house. Ding, ding, ding. That should be an alarm bell for anyone who's had somebody they've lived with for 30 years. Good for the gut. Yeah, I've been drinking, I don't know how much you'd call it, like a little half an ounce every morning. It is good for you. And it's good for your hair, from what I understand. I've used it in shampoo, but I'm going to try just putting it in my hair as a rinse and leaving it on there and doing the 30-day challenge again of not washing it. Because actually, that's like the best my hair ever looked is when I went weeks without washing it. But anyways, so these people, they don't like milk, right? And I saw a video about it. Somebody was talking about it. And then my son, and most of them are of the rainbow community as well. The what do I call it? The radical sect of the rainbow group. Because it's not like I don't hate anybody. I'm trying to expose this so maybe it will stop. Maybe it will get ashamed and embarrassed of itself. Maybe these people will realize they're being oppressed and controlled by demons. And I have no other word for it. Maybe some people don't like that word, whatever. But it's definitely better than looking at this person and saying, oh, you've become a real piece of work. I do blame the spiritual influence. But these people had a choice in the beginning, and they chose to go along with this. And now it doesn't look like to me like they have any choice in the matter. And for whatever reason, God is showing me this, even though my circle is super, super small. It's just to my family and basic surroundings. God is showing me all these things in different people. And of course, I'm seeing the red hair everywhere. If you look at the new YouTubers that are big, there are a bunch of them from every community, the camping community, the Christian community. A bunch of them are natural redheads now. That should tell you that's something manifesting in the physical. I'm not telling you to look at that person and hate the person, feel any type of way about the person. I'm saying that is symbolism, honest and organic symbolism manifesting here in the physical realm to show us something about what's going to be in control of this realm, I think, is what it's showing us. God asked me to witness. So that's what I'm doing. So this book, when I first tried to order it, it would not come to my house. They said that it could not be delivered to my address. There was no other answer. I made a video about it originally. Finally, I did order the book from a whole different company, and it took a little while, but they got here. In this book, this woman, and of course she's from Ohio, she writes about angels and vampires, and there's a giant sect of vampires in the volcano in Yellowstone. I forget what it's called. In the caldera. What is wrong with me? Anyways, these beings, some of them are Nephilim, some of them are vampires because, again, they agreed to take on these identities. Now I'm talking about a book, but I'm getting there. Again, this is where, what do all these things have in common? And this is how it lined up in my brain. One of these things is not like the other. Which of these things doesn't belong? Just like Sesame Street. Remember that old song? Now it's time to play our game. It's time to play our game. I used to love that show. I used to think, it was downtown Pittsburgh, and I'm so cool because I lived in Pittsburgh, and I just imagine these strange scenarios. And so, in this book, she says, right, I feel like effective is under illusion. Everyone, yeah, many, many, many people. Many people. And like I said at the beginning of this video, if you missed it, alien abductions are not alien abductions. They are the story that is being told to people while they are still under the influence of some type of hypnotic repression. They are told the story of aliens, and it's satanic ritual abuse. Think about it. Aliens probing human beings. That's satanic ritual abuse. That's sex magic. That's what is happening. And I know because I've experienced it, and God saved me from it. And I've experienced it at the hands of blood relatives, alleged blood relatives. I don't even know if that's true anymore. As many things as my own family has done to hurt me, like, I have no doubt that somewhere I don't belong in this family tree somehow. Anyways. So in this book, this woman, she calls Christ a master. She does not call him a savior. But she calls him, the master, like he knows this, he knows that, he knew how to regenerate and resurrect and all these things. And I'm telling you, we're expected to do some of this on our own as well. We are expected to empty out our bodies. We are expected to fast. We are expected to do work to show that we want to be saved. And we're not ever called to complacency and just sit on our hands, but we're also not called to violence. You must be along that line of the yin yang, like I said, that middle line, the balance. I remember you not being able to get a book delivered to yeah, it was weird. Amen, sister. Thank you. So in this book, she goes on to say about how these Nephilim can't abide by lavender. They really don't like lavender. It does something to them, especially if it's in their food. Hear me now. So the Nephilim, the hybrid children, have a problem with real lavender. They also apparently have a problem with vinegar and iron, just like we hear about fairies, and possibly silver. Some of them really like copper, though. The actual giants liked copper. Anyways, they don't really abide by silver. And in this book, she says that they don't like the lavender. Genetic hybrid, 222. Beast equals 3 equals 222. The beast of Revelation. There's a lot of twos lately in there since 2020. Hindsight is 2020. 22 if you remove the zeros. Because in gematria, 0 stands for nothing. It's just a placeholder, which is weird. But they still use it there. Anyways, so they don't like lavender. And they don't abide by vinegar. And something about iron can actually cage them. This one who was attempting to be a good Nephilim had a cage built so he could be put into it during a time when he would have no control over himself. And yeah, there's a lot of twos all over the place. I actually talked about that recently. And vinegar. Vinegar they don't like, and milk. In these books, she talks about the Nephilim, the hybrids, not being able to deal with milk. But I think milk has more to do with black goo than it does the Nephilim. But the black goo might be a sentient form or a sentient being. Now let's get to this vinegar aspect, because I don't want this to be too long, and I'm already at a half hour. Sorry, guys. Vinegar. Now watch how this etymology goes. This is important. Early 14th century, from Old French vinaigre, vinegar, from vine, vin, wine. Latin vinum, See wine. Aigre, sour. See eager. In Latin, it was vinum acetum, acidic, yeah. Vinum acetum, wine turned sour. Acetum for short, see acidic. Also used figuratively for wit or shrewdness, and compare Greek oxos, wine vinegar, which is related to oxus, sharp. Our blood contains copper. Maybe that's why they like it. But they can't abide iron. And we're supposed to have iron in our blood, right? And some of us have to take extra iron, which I've been meaning to tell myself to do lately as well. Thank you for that reminder. I have to get some iron, and I would suggest everybody do the apple cider vinegar thing in the morning. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. However, it's allegedly good for you. There are other videos on it from people who do have more experience than me. But I do drink a little bit of apple cider vinegar every morning. And it's also good to clean with. Now, there's another woman on here who told me an interesting story, which I found on Reddit, I believe, that if you put vinegar in a spray bottle and you spray it, certain things will be able to be seen better that way. It had something to do with, she blamed it on chemtrails, but I think she was trying to tell me something different. Like I said, people are very careful how they talk online because they know that they're being watched and anyway. So it's been around since the 14th century, but vinegar and wine were almost the same thing. Okay, they were used to get as meaning the same thing. Old English wine from Proto-Germanic winum, Old High German wine, Old Norse wein, Dutch Weigen, German wien, and early borrowing from Latin vinum, wine. I thought it was vinum, but down here it gets to say that it's right there. Willow and vitus, vine, and other words, may be derived from the root way, to turn or bend. So it means to turn sour, to be made sour. They can't really find the etymology of the word, though. Okay? There's some argument going on about that. And they get very editorial, like right here, when they give their own like interjections here in between the definition. I guess the app people or whatever, they're giving you new information. There are things coming out about our history, and I told you I really don't think America is what everyone thinks it is. And I think there's a lot of tricks being played with us with the maps and the planes. My flatmates sprinkle bicarb soda and vinegar to clean the bath. Yeah, it's really good. You can clean floors with vinegar. You can clean counters with vinegar. Lemon juice, any type of cider or citrus juice will work. Watered down, diluted, but lemon and or like apple cider vinegar work the best, and they smell pretty too. So you see, it's not a new word. Now let's go to, I want you to go and see what Christ said here. This is John, I believe. Oh, come on, why'd you go away? This is John 19:28, okay? And this is after he talks about, behold your son, behold your mother. And that's basically Christ giving Mary to the church at that point. My hoodie fell down. Hold on. I really do cover my head a lot every time when praying now or reading from the Bible. What did that say? ACV really is good in the morning. I use white vinegar and baking soda clean instead of toxic chemicals. Yeah, baking soda, right, for the cleaning agent, obviously, but also because it offers you that little grit, so it cleans stuff like that. That's awesome. Yeah, I use vinegar a lot on my floors. On my counters, somewhat, but I'm gonna put some in my hair this hair challenge this month, and see how that works. So this is John 28. After this, knowing that all was now finished. After this, Jesus, knowing that all was now finished, said to fulfill the scripture, I thirst. A bowl full of vinegar stood there. Hold, please. What scripture is he fulfilling? And is that what he really said? Well, here's the Dewey Rames. Here's the Catholic. Here's the KJV. Okay, so I've got them all pulled up here. Orthodox Jewish Bible. Honestly, I don't even know why they would ask, because sour wine, chomet's vinegar was set there. The sponge full of the vinegar had been wrapped around a hyssop branch they brought to his mouth. See, so they're all pretty much the same, which is good. After this, Jesus knew that all had been accomplished, so in order that the scripture might be completed, he said, I thirst. There is a David Psalm, and he talks about Jesus. Well, it's obviously about Jesus now at this point, but he talks about the vinegar, all right? And we'll get to that, but I want you to see this first. After this, Jesus, knowing that all was now finished, said to fulfill the scripture from the Psalm, I thirst. A bowl full of vinegar stood there, so they put a sponge full of vinegar on a hyssop and held it to his mouth. When Jesus had received the vinegar, he said, it is finished, and he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. This is weird for a lot of reasons for me. Like I said, this has been, vinegar being mentioned has been in my life for a long time. And again, vinegar and wine, are they different? Somewhat, but they're both basically pickled juices, right? Because wine is pickled grapes, basically, and vinegar is pickled and soured apples juice, so to speak. So you get what I'm getting at there. So we're going to look at this just real quick, and then I'm going to get to the Max Spiers part, because this is where it gets strange, and this is where it kind of brings all these satanic elements together. Now, again, people interpret Christ's death as God saying this has to happen, this had to happen. But Christ is the one who actually said, let this cup pass from me. He asked God, and obviously God did not allow it to happen. And Christ gave up his life because he said, no, don't fight. He actually admonished the disciples for falling asleep in Gethsemane garden. He said, could you not stay awake just for 1 hour while I prayed? While I figured out what to do, right? And when the soldier came and they started fighting and he lost an ear, I'm pretty sure it was John. He said, John, put down your sword. And he said something else to him, and he said, I will go with them. And he just went. Christ did not defend himself. And that's the problem. I don't know if it's a problem, but that's why these beings think they can do these things to us, is because of our efforts in compassion and nonviolence and being a pacifist. Now, people all day will say they're Christians, and they'll yell at me for saying, Christ wasn't talking about a literal sword. Christ did not want us fighting a war. Christ himself did not fight a war. He fought spiritually. He prayed. He educated people. He told them, you have your own mind, make your own choice. You don't have to follow these people. Come with me, I'll show you. You don't have to be a part of this wicked system. Come with me, I'll show you. Okay? My Catholic Bible just arrived in the mail. Got it secondhand rather than new print. That's awesome. I am so glad to hear that. Because God was literally like whispering in my ear, tell Michelle. And you know what I told you, but that's awesome. Oh, that's good to hear. Okay. So my interpretation of the crucifixion is different than a lot of people's. I believe it's obviously satanic what happened to him. From the Pharisee point of view, if we look at just those elements, and we look at Christ as the human being, because he was fully human at this point, And again, I'm not getting into the Trinity right now, but what happened to him was a satanic plot. They did not like him, giving people encouragement to stand their ground, to resist, to not comply. It's just like what we're living in now. Someone like me, like I could lose my life for speaking this way. This is why I'm facing so much in the spiritual, is because I'm not well known in the physical, right? But maybe in the spiritual realm, I'm some kind of threat. And they just won't leave me alone. When you speak truth, when you expose these things, there's always a risk. But for me, it's always going to be worth it. I'm a mother. I brought life into this realm. God, the creator, maker, created life. I don't think she wants us going down like this, all the time. Will some people have to? Some people always have to. For now, until things change. Until every soul is refined. I think this will continue until everyone is at a point where they say enough is enough. We are all pacifists. We will live in harmony together, yet separate, much like the Native Americans were able to do for a very long time. They weren't all warriors. Okay, so I'm not trying to get into a battle here of that caliber. I am saying, when someone speaks the truth, when they tell you what the system is doing, when they tell you to cast it aside and leave it and forget it, my situation is unfortunately different. God has asked me to stand firm where I'm at. There's a reason for that, because my life might very well be used to help those around me who know me, to bring them to God. But you know what that's going to cost me. You know what that always costs people like me. It always goes after people who speak these things. So if you're a person who doesn't willingly and knowingly comply with wickedness and evil, like I am, this next time, short time, it's a very short time, might not go well for you. You have to be strong. We have to be strong. We have to use the weapons at our arsenal. And I'm not talking about physical weapons. I'm talking about wit, wisdom, righteousness, knowledge, using knowledge in wise ways, right? Determining what knowledge you receive is truth and what is just filler, what is just there to distract you or lead you astray. Christ was a nonconformist. The political regime and the religious regime of that time did not like him. Why? Because the politicians and the religious leaders are always in each other's pockets. I know this. You know this. Look at the mob. Look at the mafia. Where'd they all go? They went to politics. They went to the church. And they're running things now. And they want us at each other's throats. They want you to believe that Muslims worship another false idol. They want Muslims to believe that we worship Christ and that that's a false idol. Do you see what I'm getting at here? They want everybody fighting head to head. That's not how it's meant to be. And it's also not meant to tear down each other's cultures. Genesis talks about this, but no one ever does a lesson on it. I did. You're, in on the other channel. God placed us in different countries and gave each one a culture and a language. God did that. It's a part of the book of Genesis. We're not supposed to lose our culture. And your culture might not be the same as your religious practice, or it might reflect your religious practice, but it doesn't mean you're an idol worshiper necessarily. We have to stop listening, to somebody because they have a big channel or they have a big following. You can see it on certain people. I watched a certain channel. I've mentioned him before, a young man. He is very outgoing, and I like to watch the younger people because, again, I have children. I'm a mother. And you can just see these people, salivating. Your sharing with us is appreciated. Oh, please, it's nothing. Really, it is. It's the least I could do. And if I am the least in heaven, I will be greatly, greatly, greatly and abundantly blessed. Because I'm one of the people, I know that I don't deserve it. I know the things that I've done, most of them. At the same time, now knowing what I know that a lot of them I would have never done had I agency and free will at that time. This is what I'm trying to tell people. If you're having alien abductions and you're going down this road of aliens and Gaia, and you hear me say father and mother when I pray to God, because God is a parent and God gave us Mary to call mother. But even the rabbis used to say that there was a female complementary to the male. That's how the earth was created, through the two of them. It's a beautiful story if you hear it in full in the Hebrew. It's lovely. But political leaders and political religious leaders will want us, they want us at each other's throat. They want a civil war. They want this to happen because they want to create something new out of it. But God will take over, right? Some of this is meant to happen. Just like I said, I believe that Muslims and Christians, I believe we can all coexist and get along with each other. And I don't necessarily believe that we follow different gods. Allah just means God in another language. But they, they have taken something that used to be intellectualism. Used to be people who knew a lot of languages were intellectuals. And they were wise and they were people to go to, right? They were kind of like scribes of our days. Honest scribes, they should be. Interpreters. But now, if I tell you the truth, if I tell you that I have I told you all the language books I have at hand here. Arabic, Allah just means God. Like Abba means father, God. But they will have you believing it's all false idols. All I'm saying is that not everything is a demon. But in this case, what we're looking at is entirely demonic and satanic. The satanic ritual abuse is hidden up as alien abductions. You can't report it to the police or the Air Force for that matter, because they're all a part of it. Why do you think they're the ones who are witnessing these objects flying in the sky, allegedly? They're all from the system. They think people our age, people our generation, X, Y, and Z, the younger ones, well, they trust their government. They'll believe us. We've made them hate their parents. That's why, and one reason they want them hating us. They want them thinking that we're stupid, that we know nothing. When we were educated by the same system, but they've educated us in opposite ways and engineered us to go at each other's throats and to not be able to understand each other because they've broken the language down and redid everything again. This is all part of the plan. But what of it is God's and what of it is the enemy's? Jesus remained a pacifist to the end. He did not raise a hand ever to anyone. Ever. And I'm weary of hearing the stories of, well, he did this in the book of Thomas when he was a youngster. Did he? Because the Bible has been around a lot longer and has been protected a lot longer than those books that were just found in the 30s and 40s. And yes, I've read most of the Gnostic Gospels. And some of them, no, I think they're filth. Not all of them, but some of them. But again, there is truth in every place that there is a lie, because you will not believe just a lie. Human beings have that radar inherently within them. Usually, mostly women have it, sad to say, and men call us hysterical when we listen to it. And I weary of that too, though I'm not a feminist. When Jesus had received the vinegar, it is finished, and he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. Here's what St. Augustine of Hippo had to say about this. He who appeared man suffered all these things. He who was God ordered them. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, i.e., knowing the prophecy and the Psalms, and when I was thirsty, they gave me vinegar to drink, said, I thirst, as if to say, ye have not done all. Minus, give me yourselves. For the Jews were themselves vinegar, having degenerated from the wine of the patriarchs and the prophets. Now there was a vessel full of vinegar. They had drunk from the wickedness of the world, as from a full vessel, and their heart was deceitful, as it were a sponge full of caves and crooked hiding places. And they filled a sponge with vinegar, and put it upon hyssop, and put it to his mouth. They were not softened at all by what they saw, but were the more enraged, and gave him the cup to drink, as they did to criminals, i.e., with a hyssop. So this is explaining to you the culture of that time. This is, again, Catholics are very What's the word I'm looking for? They document everything. They are religious about their documentation. They document and save all these things. Now, St. Augustine goes on to say, the hyssop around which they put the sponge full of vinegar, being a mean herb taken to purge the breast, represents the humility of Christ, which they hemmed in and thought they had circumvented. That's funny, I say that all the time. People are trying to supersede and circumvent your free will, gang, and you don't let it happen anymore. Okay, so basically I just wanted to show you what the hyssop meant and what vinegar meant in this time and in this place. Why does that matter? Because of this story. When I heard this story, I said, oh my goodness, that sounds just like that verse from the Bible. And it sounds like my husband's old best friend telling me about vinegar all day long. And about my husband's now distaste for it when he used to have it on his fries all the time. What is happening here? Okay, I was going to say, don't do this to me. It took me a while to find this article itself because I was looking for the mention of these things. And his mother says it in a phone call and or in an interview, and I couldn't find it easily. I had to dig for this. That's why I was about to be mad if it wouldn't come up. So this is Max Spiers, guys, and here's the thing. He started getting bigger because I believe he, in some way, was a part of the system. He was doing what he was designed to do. He was talking about aliens and invasions, okay? However, when he started to hit on what they really were, when he started to hit on the fact that it was demonic and it was satanic and that the abuse was happening all over the place, just like I told you about the Visine being next to my toothbrush all the time in the mornings. And then I read about Visine being used in California by some woman to do in her husband and his heart. Men's hearts will fail them because of what befalls the earth. Bob Saget made a post about Visine, and it had nothing to do. And he said, oh, never mind, I don't mean Visine, I meant. And then he died of a heart attack a couple of days later. They are doing these things on purpose to people. Once you recognize the abuse for what it really is, then they try to end you. For me, I've been very blessed. They have not done that yet. Though my life is very, very small now. Sammy is snoring up a storm. I apologize. Everybody left. That's all right. So conspiracy theorists plan to reveal black magic ring before death. Here's who he was, and here's why vinegar and milk are important. A British conspiracy theorist found dead in Poland had been about to publish claims of a global black magic ring involving politicians and celebrities, add military and police, first responders to that. His distraught fiancée claims. UFO expert Max Spiers was found dead on the sofa of a Warsaw flat where he was staying with claims from friends he vomited a black liquid, enter black goo, guys, and may have been poisoned. Pause. Why does this matter to me? Because I told you in the beginning, all of this stuff started with people telling me stories. My aunt was on the phone with me, and she was she was someone I really admired that I wanted to be like until all this happened. The same aunt who hit on me, and all this stuff started after that because I very politely and tactfully turned her down. I said, no, I appreciate you. I've always looked up to you. I admire you. And though you're very hot, you are my aunt. And I am married, and so are you. After that, her husband was sitting right there. And we're blood. She's my mother's half-sister, but allegedly we're blood. So that's not cool to do, as far as I know. And I definitely wasn't into it. So that was me not consenting. Later on, she told me a story about how my uncle was throwing up all this black liquid. And then she gave me this clue about how she had cut her knees on a black lava rock. And I'm like, okay, do you want me to come take care of you? No, but she kept talking about this rock. And so I started looking it up. And again, when I say people are giving me clues, this is what I mean. So she told me a story of my uncle allegedly vomiting up a bunch of black liquid and him being hospitalized. Allegedly, he was fine. But it really makes me wonder what is happening to people. What does this have to do with everything? Black goo was also found on ancient Egyptian sarcophaguses, as I showed you. And we also had that Egyptian, where I talked about this in a couple of videos ago, in the beginning of CV, where they moved some of the Egyptian tombs and they made it a whole event and a whole ritual ceremony that they televised. So all this stuff is all tied together, guys. And the alien agenda, the alien abductions, is just to hide that it's satanic ritual abuse and just to hide that there is no aliens, there are only demons. They want you literally fighting God's help. When God's help arrives, and God's help will arrive from the skies, and they know this. So if they're planning this to counteract all of it, what do you think is really going on here? They know it's coming. They know their time is short. They know that they can't be saved. They know they're already cursed. And so they want to take as many of us as possible with them and ruin us and corrupt us. And I'm going to show you something about the sky, the moon again, in a moment, because I'll wrap this up real quick now. UFO expert Max Spiers was found dead on a sofa of the Warsaw flat he was staying with claims from friends he vomited black liquid and may have been poison. The 39-year-old, who had 2 children, hope they don't leave because of me commenting too much. No, I'm sure that doesn't have anything to do with it, don't worry. The 39-year-old, who had 2 children, was ruled to have died from natural causes, though his mother claims no post-mortem examination has been carried out. So here we go. His mother, Vanessa Bates, also said she received a chilling message just before his death saying, "Your boy's in trouble. If anything happens to me, investigate." I've left the same kind of messages and comments everywhere and letters in certain places with certain people before all this began. Extract from Max Spiers' apparently final recorded interview today. Mr. Spiers' fiancée, Sarah Adams, told The Standard the couple had both received death threats in the weeks before the tragedy. Ms. Adams said, "We were used to getting death threats or stuff like that from people, but I think this time it seemed rather real. He had been sent threats saying that him and me were going to die. He was going to expose black magic," she said. "He was going to expose some of the stuff that he was working on involving political leaders and celebrities. We had both been due to go to a conference to speak about it." And he was just staying with some random that he met. I mean, he met her, through his conferences, but he didn't know this person well, and it was in another country. And when that happens, all bets are kind of off. You have to be very careful if you're going to other countries. You have to be careful enough in America. It's not half as safe as they want people to think it is. But if you go overseas, you really, especially if you're a lone female, you want to be very vigilant and careful. So he planned on coming back here, seeing his family, and I was going to have his child. Basically, she's saying there that he had no plans of dying, right? He had plans for the future. He sounded fine, and he wanted to see me and come back here to England. His message to me said, "I'm going to see you in a bit, and I love you." It definitely couldn't have been anything like suicide or something like that. She added, "It's affected me quite badly." Now we get to a very interesting dynamic. Mrs. Bates, that's Max's mother, told the Daily Mail today that she overheard satanic rituals, now that's her word for it, over her deceased son's body as she spoke to his flatmate on the phone. So he's laying there dead, right? And they call his mother, I guess. I heard her do a live interview about it, and it gets rather in depth. It's weird. And why they're on the phone with her and not 911 immediately, or whoever, what is it, 211, 411 over there? 411 is Canada, so I'm not sure. Maybe it's 211 over there? 999? I forget. Anyways, I could hear all this kerfuffle in the background, ritualistic stuff. There were strange suggestions of things that should be done, like put milk by his side and get garlic and put flowers and put vinegar, and very weird goings on. I could hear it being said. It sounded like rituals going on, some sort of satanic rituals. Okay, so Max Spiers and Christ, in the last moments of their life, both had vinegar very nearby them. Is that for people who are sacrificing themselves for the sake of others? What is that symbolizing here? Now, I read to you a little bit of what St. Augustine thought of this in the last moments of Christ's life. why they're mentioning it here. Are they saying that Christ is also, or that Max Spiers is also a sacrifice? But I wonder about something else too. If these hybrids don't like vinegar, if they don't like milk, is that one way to combat these things from taking over your body? Is it something that this black goo, this sentient lower level being, you can read more about that in Pharaoh Fluid. We'll do another video about that shortly, probably if there's time. But how do we know it's satanic? Is it satanic, or were they trying to fend something off that had gotten within him because of the black goo that they saw? Did they have an idea of what this was? That it was a demonic, lower level sentient being? And that the only thing that repels it is vinegar and milk. These are just thoughts I'm having. This one has been percolating at the edges of my mind for a long time about the vinegar. I don't know quite what to think of it. I don't know why they don't like it other than it's acidic. So anyone who knows things about science or chemistry, like I said, I follow science a lot, but real, true, provable, observable science like it used to be, not like it is now. Not TV science, right? Not TV scientists or TV doctors. Real, legit people who went to school for years and years and years. Jesus is God sharing the gospel. Yep, we're well aware of that. And we are looking into another aspect of that right now. Unfortunately, is his passing. Because we are in a time of tribulation. And that is what is going on now. And yeah, Michelle, the milk and vinegar, does that fend off in a physical nature, right? We're not talking spiritual anymore, like prayer and rosaries and head coverings. Right now, we're talking about your physical body. Does your physical body having elements like iron, milk, and vinegar, does that repel this lower level entity, which we've talked about before, about black goo actually being alive, being a lower level sentient being? It would be below humans, right? And we are said to tread upon demons. And demons have to manifest some way in the physical. Everything else manifests in the physical. So how do demons truly manifest in the physical? I told you my testimony about the black-eyed people, about how that followed me to Pittsburgh. And I'd really be interested why so many people are wearing glasses now in their videos, indoors, not just outdoors, but indoors, on rainy, cloudy days, not just on sunny days. Why are they hiding their eyes? I'd really be interested at what color people's eyes are these days, on the on the average. And just because some have that shiny blue doesn't mean they chose the good team. Again, that just might be a human hybrid. But we've talked about all this before, about how this stuff manifests in the physical, but I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the milk and vinegar? And here's what's even stranger about this Max Spiers interview with his mother. Why did they feel the need to put that out there? Because nothing makes it to print. Nothing makes it to, I don't even know what to call it, to the status of being, a published article online anymore, unless it's something the system wants you to know for some reason. So is this our help trying to tell us this, or somebody else? Do they have to tell us this part because they are demonic? Remember, the demons have to follow the laws God set forth. Humans are allowed to break them. It won't be good for us. It won't go well for us to not follow laws of nature. But these demons, they have to. Right? And so to break it all down one last time before we end this video, alien abductions are not real. They're not happening. It is satanic ritual abuse, and that is the story that they tell you. Because a lot of psychologists at this point in time, a lot of psychiatrists at this time, are of darkness. That is true witchcraft, okay? True witchcraft is hypnotizing people. It is subverting their free will. That's what is meant by witchcraft. It is not stones. Those things would fall. If you did idolize a stone, it would fall under idolatry. Those things are not of witchcraft. It's funny, isn't it, how they made Gandalf appear just like Moses. And Gandalf's a wizard. He's got a staff. He's got long white hair, long flowing robe, just like Moses, and slams down his staff and says, "You shall not pass." And Moses struck the rock and got what? Water. Isn't that weird? I told you, when persecution comes, they're going to accuse us of doing the things that they have done. They're going to accuse us of being them. That's what's going to happen. And I don't want to be right at all in any way. I'm telling you because God asked me to and because I love humanity, and I think you need to know in order to properly walk this out the right way. So that any fear you have, you get rid of right now. There is no room for fear in the kingdom of God. None. You can't have it. The only fear you should have is of facing God and Him saying, "I don't know you. I am not well pleased with you. You did not try to help your fellow man." Alien abductions are just cover-ups for satanic ritual abuse. And there's a reason that most of the sightings are coming from the military itself and from first responders, because they're all involved in this. For whatever reason, all people that wear a uniform of some kind are involved in this. It's a giant chess game. God isn't letting me play much, but He's letting me use my words, and words have always been my best, whatever, talent. You know, I have a talent with words. So there is no such thing as alien abduction. So if we have help and it comes from the skies, it will likely be God's angels. Because the other ones are already here, and they've been stuck here a long time beside us. And it's my theory, and I think it's a very reputable theory, that they are in the Great Lakes. And the last thing of this video, because this is what we're going to get into next. Why do you think UFOs are always spotted near Bigfoot, and why do they tell us that? Again, they don't have to tell us any of this. They could cover it all up, except they're not allowed. Again, they cannot break the rules. They have to follow the rules like chess pieces that they are. Those of us with free will and a mind of our own have choices to make. That's why I'm telling you, because God never does a thing without warning His people. And that's why I'm here, to warn you of what's coming. God has been right about every other message He gave me. Amen. The name above all names, Jesus Christ. That's why we're given authority to use that name. Because there is no name above it. No matter what there are books all over the place. 72 names of God, 72 names of angels, 72 names of the demons. God gave us one name that is above them all, and it doesn't matter what language you speak it in. You tell them, "I am here," because God Almighty, the Creator, Maker, Son, He gave me the authority to speak for mankind and to speak for God. What a unique position us human beings are in, and we should cherish that. So they're all satanic ritual abuse, because they want you fighting the help that will come from the skies. They want you to think it's a false alien invasion. They don't want you to believe if God really sends His help, if we are really in those days. They don't want you to listen. They want you to fight. Whether you're fighting each other or you're fighting things that come from the sky, I don't think they really care. They just want us to be corrupted, and they want us to be in a position where God has to chastise us to be just. God will have to chastise us, they think. I've chosen to use the chastisement and the targeted individual paradigm to allow it to refine me and to make me into the person I always wanted to be, and the person that I used to be before these people started messing with my brain and tinkering around in there like it was their personal toy box. For a couple of years there, I lost myself. I had no idea why I was doing the things that I was doing. Now I have a better idea of why. And I tell you, declare it this day and every day, I do not consent. I'm not participating in any of the shenanigans unless God Himself tells me to. My job is to love people, to love animals, to grow things, to create art, to read books, sometimes to you guys, and to warn you, because that's what God has me doing right now at this moment in time. Tomorrow it might be something else. Sadly, I have a feeling I'm going to have to see this thing face to face before things get better. I don't want to. I have no desire to. Well, I have some desire to, I can't lie. But this black goo is a part of all this, and I believe it's a lower level sentient being. Because the demonic has to manifest itself in some way, just like every other being. Right? God gave souls, in a temple in the form of a human vessel. What do demons turn into when they rise up from the abyss? And I believe the abyss is not any place sandy. I believe the abyss, well, it's kind of sandy. The abyss itself is in the ocean. That's why you got the black eyes. What else shoots black ink? Octopus. Octopi. And they're allegedly very smart. What's its other name, though? The Kraken. Start putting all these things together. All these things. Mankind could not do this and orchestrate all this on its own. What is happening is biblical. It is the fight of good versus evil, and you have to pick a side. Just because I'm not participating in the friggin' rigged elections, because I'm not signing my name off for anybody ever again, as far as I'm aware. I'm not losing my free will ever again. It's very important to me. It's the gift God gave us to use. And our tongue is our sword. It's not a literal sword we're supposed to have. It's the sword of the Spirit is the word. It is your word. And God never does a thing without warning his people. Make your choice now so that it's not hard later. Don't be so attached to material things because they're just stuff and things, and they will go. But every living being here, there's a purpose that we're here. And God did not put us here just to make us suffer or just to end us. That's not the purpose of it all either. It is a byproduct of the way things have happened because of our free will. So let's make better choices moving on. If you see something coming down from the sky, it might very well be something from our own military. There's a chance that it just might be help from above. Do you really want to have to answer for why you took arms against God's soldiers who came down here to help us? I'm just saying, be very careful in these times. Don't make a step without considering your spirit and asking your spirit, because the Holy Spirit is within you, and say, what should I do? Ask God, what should I do? And he'll tell you. But there is no such thing as alien abductions happening. It's a cover-up for SRA. There's a reason all these psychologists and things, and then they have people following you, is because you start remembering and they don't want you to remember. And when I started remembering, everything got so much worse for me. But a lot of things got a lot better for me. I don't have those types of nightmares anymore. I don't lose time anymore or lose track of what I'm doing anymore. I'm at peace now with things. And I know how things are pretty much going to turn out for me. And I've made my choices a long time ago. So I'm at peace. I pray that you can be at peace too. And I'm sorry this went so long, but it wouldn't hurt anything to clean your houses with some vinegar, to use it on your windows because it keeps them streak-free, to put a little bit on your French fries, have a glass of milk in the morning or the evening before bed, and a spoonful of vinegar. Because it seems like it's going to help. It seems to be helpful. This is weird. If you guys want to look into it more from the black goo angle, we can. I love you. If you're still here, thank you for hanging out with me. If not, I totally understand. I don't want to be around for most of my videos, but the Spirit nudges me and tells me that I need to speak on it and I need to warn people. So that's what I do. And even if I've only warned one person that will listen, Jesus only had 12 that followed him. And most of them denied him in his hour of need. So if I can impress upon just one person these warnings that that I believe God gives to me. Well, then I've done something, and it's the least I could do in this time. But make your decisions and declare loud and proud every day, I do not consent to losing my free will. I do not consent to participating in choosing the lesser of two evils. I am not signing away the agency that my Creator gave to me. Say it. I do not consent. What do I consent to? Love anything that God Himself from above, the Creator of all of this, mandates, because I know that a father does what's best for his children, even though the world would tell you otherwise. I love you. Have a blessed day. Unfortunately, we'll probably talk soon. If you missed today's video about the coronation. Oh, geez, I got to show you guys one more thing, and it goes with the coronation. And I might do a short on it. I don't know. Where'd it go? Oh, it's over here with these articles. Hold, please. How do I do this on here? Oh, that's why. That's why. Do that. There it is. See the flower moon and eclipse as Halley's Comet spits shooting stars the night sky this week. April 30th, 2023. I'd never heard of this. Didn't know what a flower moon was. This is what to see in the night sky this week. This week is dominated by the rising of the full moon as it waxes towards being full. This is on the way to the eclipse that I talked about in yesterday's video, the penumbral eclipse. So enjoy the moonlight and wait for it to appear on the horizon draped in orange hues this weekend. It will be a sight worth waiting for if it's a clear sky. Read, important, stars easily visit. If you're just starting out. Okay. I've never heard of this ever. So May 4th, it tells you bright moon in Spica. And it gets into like all the, I share what I learned from you with others. That's awesome, Michelle. Thank you for that. Okay, so the full flower moon and a slight lunar eclipse both happen on May 5th. And the Pope is allegedly making a decision about the coronation. Coronation festivities, I guess, begin that morning with performances by an ambassador who is Lionel Richie and Katy Perry. So that's weird. But whatever. Anyways, the flower moon. So we're going to watch for that. Maybe we can do a live stream when this is happening, when we are going into this eclipse, and to see how the festivities of the coronation are going. I imagine it won't be, I imagine it'll be an event to never forget. I love you guys. Stay blessed. Make sure you make it well known that you do not consent to certain things occurring around you, near you, to your person every day. Let that be part of your prayers. And I always declare, for as far and as wide as my territory goes, I do not consent to harm coming to children. I do not consent to harm coming to the elderly, Let God's will be done and not my own. And why do I say my territory? Because the earth, the land itself, was given to mankind. It was given to us. Even before the fall, after the fall, it's ours. And what we say here matters. I love you guys. We'll talk soon.